Hi there, welcome to Relitigated, the show where five friends who are absolutely not lawyers attempt to retry a real Supreme Court case. I'm your host Jarrett, and this is episode 16, Watts v. United States, decided in 1969. A quick note before we get started. As always, we try our best to represent the facts and decisions in the case as accurately as possible, but we're not lawyers, and nothing in this episode should be taken as legal advice. Okay, with that out of the way, let's start the show.
Wrap it up. Start over. Erase everything.
The magic of editing. Speaking of, hi there, welcome to the Relitigated podcast. I'm your host, Jarrett, and I'm joined by my co-host, Nikki. Hello, Nikki.
Hi.
We also have with us three friends who will be role-playing as our justices for this episode. First, we have Associate Justice Chris.
Hello.
Next, we have Associate Justice Preston.
Hello, hello.
And lastly, we have our Chief Justice, Sarah.
Hello, hello, hello.
Ooh.
And a special hello to Preston, making his debut on the podcast today.
So happy to be here, guys.
Golf clap. Golf clap.
If you're new to the show, here's how this works. Nikki and I have selected a real Supreme Court case, and our justices do not know what case we have selected. Nikki will introduce the case to us and walk us through the facts so we can all get a little bit more familiar with the details. The justices are free to ask factual questions during this time, and we will answer as best as we can. Next, we'll move into oral arguments where Nikki will roleplay as the petitioner and I will roleplay as the respondent. We each get 7 minutes to make our case, during which the justices can interrupt us and ask probing questions. When the arguments are over, the justices will deliberate and deliver their own opinions. The final rulings do not need to be unanimous. Majority opinion wins. Even if 2 or more justices agree in principle, they can still disagree as to why. Once we've had our fun with our mock hearing, Nikki and I will reveal what the Supreme Court really decided and talk about how we feel about the actual results and why this case matters. Sound good to everyone?
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Good as always.
Awesome. I'll turn it over to Nikki for facts of the case.
So, for this episode, we will be retrying Watts versus the United States. We begin at a public rally at the Washington Monument. The crowd there broke into smaller discussion groups. 18-year-old R.W. joined a group with several people around their own age, so, mostly teens to early 20s, to talk about police brutality. During the conversation, someone in the group suggested that the young people there needed to educate themselves more before expressing their views. To this, R.W. responded, "They always holler at us to get an education. And now I have already received my draft classification as 1A, and I have got to report for my physical this Monday coming. I'm not going. If they ever make me carry a rifle, the first man I want to get in my sights is the president. They're
Ooh.
not going to make me kill my black brothers."
Oh, charged.
Reportedly, after RW made the statement, both they and the assembled crowd laughed about it together. Also present at the rally was an investigator for the Army Counterintelligence Corps who overheard RW's comment and reported them to the authorities for violation of U.S. Code Section 871A. According to this statute, whoever knowingly and willfully otherwise makes any such threat to take the life of, to kidnap, or to inflict bodily harm upon the president, president-elect, vice president, or other officer next in the order of succession to the office of president or vice president-elect shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 5 years or both. So, RW was arrested and tried in a U.S. District Court for threatening the life of the president at the Washington Monument rally. During the trial, after the prosecution completed their case, RW's counsel moved to have RW acquitted. According to counsel, the statement made by RW was political speech and was a crude remark expressing opposition to the policies represented by the president. The judge denied the motion and the jury convicted RW of the alleged crime. RW's conviction was appealed to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit, where it was upheld in a 2-1 vote. Following the loss in the Court of Appeals, the conviction was again appealed, this time to the U.S. Supreme Court, where now our justices must decide: did the trial judge make an error in denying the motion for acquittal, or should R.W.'s conviction stand?
Goodness
Yeah.
gracious.
That's a lot. There's a lot going on there.
RW.
Yeah.
What a predicament to be in,
Mhm.
frankly.
Wrong place, wrong time.
Honestly, yeah, kinda.
Yeah.
Like, truly. Like, if somebody wasn't eavesdropping, RW would not be in this situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like they wanted to make an example of the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The theme here is nosiness.
This code 871A existed prior, obviously, to this. So
Yeah.
it's already,
Mhm.
so not ideal.
Yeah, not great. Not great all around, truthfully. Okay.
Any factual questions that we can answer for you?
Were there any other witnesses besides the single investigator?
Like witnesses who testified, that we don't know. But we
Okay.
do know that other people were present at the time.
Got it.
That's a good question, because, like, it's just one guy's word against another at that point.
Yeah.
So, who's to say? Okay. I don't think I have any questions.
Yeah, not yet.
Yeah, we'll see what horrors await us.
So many horrors, I'm sure.
Always.
They're persisting,
Always.
as usual.
All right. Well, then we will move into oral arguments. Nikki is up first, representing the petitioner. I have put 7 minutes on the clock, and time will begin whenever she does.
Okay. Thank you very much. I will try to keep this brief. Ms. Chief Justice, and may it please the court, we are here because of symbolism and metaphor. And this case is a symbol of the government's efforts to abrogate our rights under the guise of security. In the United States, we pride ourselves on freedoms of expression, belief, religion, and speech. We take this so seriously that we have enshrined it in the First Amendment. I direct the attention of our justices to the First Amendment, which reads, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. This incident occurred at a rally, a peaceful assembly, as is our right under this amendment. The Washington Monument has been and continues to be a site for gatherings, marches, and rallies for causes. Its location, appearance, and role in American history and American social movements mean that it, and the gathering it hosts, are an enduring American symbol. As detailed in the First Amendment, we are entitled to express our opinions, including our disagreement with and critique of the government and public figures. So assembling at the Washington Monument to express political viewpoints is as American as apple pie. As the Washington Monument is a symbol, so too is R.W.'s speech. He went to a public gathering specifically intended to express political opposition and expressed his opposition to wartime policies as symbolized by the president. Granted, this 18-year-old was perhaps somewhat graceless in his words, but they were just words. R.W. did not say he intended to assassinate the president. He made a statement that was explicitly conditioned on him showing up for service and on him being given a weapon. He said himself that he would not be presenting for service, thus negating all the other conditions present regarding a weapon and the president. We can't say then that he directly intended to kill the president. There is no indication that this 18-year-old had any form of access to the president, who is protected by trained agents dedicated to his safety. He did not take any steps to acquire any firearms or attempt to convince the others present to harm the president. He returned his focus on his unwillingness to serve due to his unwillingness to harm others. The other persons present didn't then decide or plan to harm the president. They laughed and then moved along. This is, in essence, a young person being crude, boastful, and symbolic in his use of language. While he did not express his opinion the same way that others may have, his expression was an instance of free speech protected by our Constitution, not a true threat. Just like the Washington Monument is a symbol of our nation's founder and values, the case of RW symbolizes what should be our commitment to our nation's freedom from thought police. I will take questions at this point.
I don't know if I have questions. I have thoughts that are not questions. Anybody else?
I've been thinking that, I think that it's more of a, he didn't actually say, I'm going to kill the president. It's, I want to get my sights, right? I want to get in my sights. So it's kind of like, but yeah, so I understand. I understand the argument.
I do too. Very clear argument, Nikki. Great job.
Definitely a clear argument. I feel as though it did focus a bit on, the right to assembly, which of course is our right, but that was never mentioned in the case, right? Like the assembly part of what he did was fine, but it was everything after that, essentially.
It was his statements that he made in direct opposition to wartime policies as personified by the president. So expressing his thoughts, his opinions, his disagreement, all perfectly tucked in under the First Amendment, I would say.
Nikki, I do have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Just poking holes through your argument a little bit. He did say if he was given a rifle, he would target the president first. And you spoke a little bit about how the whole gist of his statement was, I'm not going to be drafted. That's not going to be me. But what if he is drafted? What if he is given a rifle and he is enlisted to serve? Would that make this not a credible threat then?
That would be predicated on access to the president. I don't know of any 18-year-old or military draftee who would, rather than going to where the fight is, would be then right there at the White House or wherever. And once again, he was pretty adamant that he did not want to serve. He did not agree with any of this, and he wasn't going to do it.
Okay. Noted for the record. Thank you. I have no further questions, Nikki, at this time.
How much time do I have left?
30 seconds.
Oh, dang. Okay, fine. I mean, I guess I can reserve the rest of my time.
How does court work? I don't know.
We're not lawyers.
Yeah, we're not.
We haven't actually said that yet this episode. We are not lawyers.
I didn't go to law school. I don't know how to read.
Yeah, no. Yeah, Chris can't read, guys.
I don't know even. These degrees are fake. I don't know.
Yeah. Who hired him?
I don't know.
And that's time.
All right. Yes,
Nikki, I apologize.
Okay, we can reserve 30 seconds. Why not?
I mean, for the one sentence or whatever.
Yeah.
Sure. 30 seconds. It's yours now.
Awesome.
All right.
Cherish it.
I will start with my 7 minutes, if that's okay.
What if we didn't?
I swear to God. We need to impeach the Chief Justice.
Or just add more.
Time appointment, bitch. Okay. You voted for this.
Just add 10 more. Just add 10 more.
The clock will start when you do.
Okay. Ms. Chief Justice, and may it please the court. According to the petitioner and their counsel at trial, the comment made by the petitioner at the rally was just a crude joke, and that was taking them at their word that they would never actually follow through on their threat. It was such a funny joke, in fact, that 12 of the petitioner's peers in the jury heard the facts and unanimously agreed that the statement constituted a threat on the president's life and convicted them for violating the statute. The question at the heart of this case is not a matter of intent, but of impact. It's just a joke, is what people say when they realize that their words have consequences and they're about to feel the pain of those consequences. We know from the petitioner's own statement that they felt that being drafted was cause for a murderous action. This is motive. The authorities stepped in order to prevent the petitioner from finding an opportunity to act. We don't know if the president would ever be around, I don't know, soldiers? Seems like maybe there would be opportunity and the drafting would provide the motive. In our nation's history, we have had 4 presidential assassinations with at least 2 other unsuccessful attempts that we know of. Many of the individuals who perpetrated these crimes were probably dismissed for being hyperbolic or just another crackpot at the end of the bar. Ask Lincoln, Garfield, McKinley, Roosevelt, Kennedy, or Reagan if those threats were funny to them. Were Kennedy and Reagan not surrounded by dozens of trained protectors? Considering, again, the impact, remember that these comments were made in a discussion where impressionable minds were gathered. Any one of those individuals may have heard the petitioner's words as encouragement, or at the very least, a normalizing of violence against the president, and could have been influenced. If the petitioner makes the statement and someone else follows through, that would make the petitioner an accomplice or a co-conspirator, no matter the comedic value. Words have impact.
Question.
Go ahead.
So I feel like that argument is slightly straying from RW. You're talking about other people around RW. Other people didn't make the threat. Is it a threat? Other people didn't say what RW said. I'm just a little bit confused how they fit into the equation, I guess.
It's the context of the saying of it. The idea that it's comedic, it doesn't matter if you intend it. You are still uttering it out loud in a group of people, and you don't get to choose how those people interpret your intent.
Right. But
So if he is saying, this is
why
not
is
my
RW
intent,
responsible for the actions of other people that might just be eavesdropping?
I'm saying this is a for instance. If somebody else had acted on it, we would say that RW was an accomplice or a co-conspirator. So why, if RW is the one making the threat, wouldn't he also just be accountable for making that threat?
Okay.
Let's not forget that the Washington Monument is only 0.55 miles from the back door of the White House. This was not uttered in Reno on the other side of the country. This was literally in the backyard of the President of the United States.
This offense.
Yeah.
Another thing to consider is that not all speech is protected, according to this very court. In the United States v. Schenck, this court ruled that even political speech can be limited in order to protect the functioning of the government in wartime.
I don't think I ruled that.
In that
Sorry.
case, Schenck didn't advocate for violence, just disobeying draft laws. Here, we have a nonchalant advocating of violence. Lastly, in regards to threats of the president being political speech, it is outlandish to believe that a threat of violence upon another person is protected political speech, just because the president is an elected official. If the president is an elected official and anything having to do with the president is political, that would make assassinations protected political actions. That doesn't make any sense. The threat of violence and the action of violence are not protectable. It is assault and potentially battery if followed through upon. These are crimes. It doesn't matter if they're an elected official. It's important for the government and its functioning to protect these particular individuals, and to say that they are not worthy of that protection because it is political does not make any sense. Thank you. I yield to questions.
What do we think, Court?
Well, yeah, I kind of had the same original thought, but after hearing both sides of the argument, I'm kind of more in the middle. But obviously, I have no specific questions. But I think just to reiterate, right, the impact of words in the group setting at a rally in proximity to the White House, could be construed. So I understand the argument.
Yeah, it feels like to the letter of the law, it's kind of open and shut, but I feel like there's nuance in some of the words that he was saying.
I have a question for Jarrett. Would you consider RW's statement sort of a rallying cry for those that were at this assembly?
No, I believe that this was a statement by showing an individual's motive, although I am concerned that the laughter of everybody else shows a callous disregard for the safety of the President of the United States.
Okay.
I mean, understanding the code as well, whether it was a rallying cry or, it was simply a threat, even not for others to enact upon, it's still credible based on the code, the way that it reads. So I think it's, even if it wasn't a rallying cry, there's still a potential issue with the words as they pertain to the code.
Yeah, I don't know. It feels like inflection really matters here. Like how did RW convey this statement? I understand, we still don't think it's a joke, but it could be like a rallying cry or, just a one-off, but who knows?
And we are at time.
Thank you, Jarrett.
Gracias.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me on my show.
I guess you're welcome. I don't know.
We gave the
How that
justices entirely too much power.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't think we're even exercising it to our full extent, to be completely honest.
It's true.
So we've reached the part of the show where Nikki and I shed our lawyerness, move out of arguments, and we become your clerks to help you deliberate and determine how you would like to rule on this case. And we will turn it over to the Chief Justice to moderate.
Oh gosh, guys. How are we feeling, team?
I'm still leaning towards, any threat. It is kind of, just taking a less objective approach for just like a few seconds. It is kind of weird the way that in history we glorify people who are not supposed to be our kings. Like the amendments are supposed to be for the people to protect them from the government, right? And so it's kind of these are the sorts of codes and things that protect the government from the people. And so it's, taking just a less objective stance for just a few seconds. It's kind of weird to think about it that way, but
Yeah,
anyway.
I agree. I feel
Chris,
like.
Oh, please.
Oh, please. No, please, Preston. Listen, as Chief Justice, I want you to go.
It just sounded like Chris was inciting a revolution, and I'm all for it. But
Oh, yes.
How was America founded?
rolling heads.
Hey, we did just say that we're not exercising our power in this court to its fullest degree. So
It's true.
we could really go crazy. Not to make any threats, because apparently that's against the
chaos.
law.
Yes. But it is something, you grow up with. I don't know. But it's like something that, even from an early age, it's like, don't say anything like that against your president or vice president.
Yeah. I think it's bad practice in general to be an individual that goes around making jokes about assassinating or killing really anybody. It's just kind of poor. It's poor taste. I
Not
think.
ideal.
No, it's not ideal. But I just wish I was there to hear RW say this, because like people do joke all the time about things. So, and it's like going back to our original thought. This is legitimately wrong place at wrong time. Like he could have made this joke anywhere else and it would have just been a joke and he would have gone on with his life.
You actually raise a good point. Maybe this wasn't the first time that he made a joke like this. You never know that, right? Just
Maybe.
to play devil's advocate. Like this could be, a recurring theme. You don't know. So, I mean, understandably, taking back to the objective stance now, potentially, this could be an issue, right? So,
yeah, true. Like, what if behind closed door? Like, what if he is somebody who's socializing this idea to the masses and trying to get some buy-in?
Yeah,
testing the waters type of thing.
Yeah,
So I have a question. 2 questions actually. What was the demographic of the rally? Do we know?
I don't think we know that from the record available to us.
The only thing we do know for sure is the people in the breakout group that RW happened to be in was people slightly younger than and slightly older than 18 years old. Like that was the age range. But that's the only demographic information that I would feel comfortable saying I know for a fact.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And do we know if RW had an education or was getting one? What he wanted to do? Was he like a comedian before this?
I don't think we have any information aside from him making a statement that he'd been drafted. So I'm guessing he didn't have any kind of, because I think Jarrett, you're going to have to correct me, but I think if you were in college or something, that gave you a bit of an out as far as the draft goes.
It could, yeah. You could get a deferment potentially. He, we know he's a male, and we know that he was 18 years old. That's the other thing we know.
Mm-hmm.
But that's about it.
And was black.
Probably, yes.
I don't actually know. I mean, I guess his statement was, "My black brothers." Nothing prevents a non-black person from saying that.
It does not, no.
that's fair.
But so I guess we shouldn't just assume, but it feels like that's probably the case. Also, just knowing if he was local to DC, I mean, DC is demographically has a large black population as
I
well.
think it's
Yeah.
majority.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, Preston, you raise a really good point. Like, is Bro an aspiring comedian? Like, is this just a bit? It really could be, because like comedians say crazy, offensive, threatening, horrible things all the time, and it's funny. So like the context is important. Like the joke maybe just didn't land with this. Who heard him? An investigator for what? Army counterintelligence. Maybe the guy who overheard him just isn't a jokey guy. He just didn't get it. Not that doesn't make this like a threat, but
I would say that that's a good argument, but then it didn't pass the Court of Appeals.
No, it
and
didn't.
a jury. So,
so no one's funny. Essentially,
no one's
one can take a joke.
No, that's zero.
If we've learned anything on this podcast, it's that no one can say anything anymore.
That's
No.
right.
Literally.
That's accurate. Yeah, I am kind of leaning based on the objective stance. I am leaning towards that. Yeah, this could be a credible threat from the objective stance perspective.
I would be really curious to know. I mean, we don't know what year this took place in yet, obviously, but I would be really curious to know, like, how they handle threats like this today. Like, is this, I mean, if somebody's just walking around Washington, D.C., anywhere near the Capitol building, the White House, and somebody who works in government happens to overhear oh, wow, I would really just love to shoot this congressperson or something. Or like, man, if they don't stop, like, misappropriating my taxes, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to stab XYZ. Like, if someone just hears that, are we taking that person off the streets? Are we, like, searching? Like, are they charged with a crime right then and there? Like, I do think I don't know. I think by the letter of this law, yeah, I guess it would be a credible threat. But I'm also like, free speech is a thing, right? I mean,
the FBI will be at your door in 10 minutes.
You're so right. Honestly, they're yeah. I should. I'll make sure my door is unlocked so they can just walk in. They don't have to break anything down.
They'll break it down. Knock politely.
I also think there's something to note about the way that RW phrased his statement. Like, it is an if-then statement. It's not like he says, I have a plan. I'm going to get once I get my hands on a rifle, I'm going to shoot the president. He said, if they ever draft me into service, like, I would rather kill the big guy than my peers. Is kind of the gist of what he said.
Yeah. I
think context is important. But yeah, I am struggling. Chris, like what you said, objectively it does seem like by the letter of the law.
Right.
Suspicious.
I feel like the courts should have given him an option. It's either, listen, we're going to either try you for draft dodging, or we're going to try you for, the assassination of, or,
that is the one thing I didn't want to bring it up because it wasn't technically the question at hand, but it is also a crime to not show up for the draft. Yeah. So, it's screwed either way, but I think, this particular one is worse versus draft dodging. I don't know. Actually, I don't know which sentence is worse. I don't know which sentence, like worse in the sense that the punishment might be worse versus draft dodging. I actually don't know.
I don't know. I mean, he didn't dodge the draft yet, right? Like,
right.
He was also threatening to dodge the draft. It's just a lot of veiled threats.
Right. And that's not a crime. It's, he could still show up on Monday and he's good, right?
He could.
Yeah.
And then he could get his hands on a rifle and find the president.
And then follow through with
and then we're all screwed.
Like, if there's a will, I guess there's a way. And I guess, yeah, it's like, how do you weed out RW with his potentially silly joke and people who are actually psycho who want to assassinate the leader of the nation? Or assassinate anybody, because that's just crazy. Point being,
murder's wrong.
Like, period. Yeah, but we shouldn't be doing that, guys.
Yeah, it's bad.
But at all costs, if we can avoid that. Okay, where are we leaning? What's the temperature here, guys?
Yeah, I am leaning towards the objective. Yeah, this is probably credible, and yeah, it's too. If he said, if they ever make me carry a rifle, and I don't even know how I could phrase this better. That it's not a direct call out to this person. It's very cut and dry. It's like rifle, sights, aim, and person. Like, this is there's no like gray area. It's very like no. It's kind of, it's very direct. So I feel that's my reading the code, reading the statement. It's very objective.
Okay. Heard. Preston, where are you at in this moment?
I'm unfortunately kind of in the same boat. There was Well, I have a quick question. What does a draft classification as A1 1A mean?
It's a great question.
It's a very
Is
good
that like
question.
sitting at a desk doing nothing with no rifle, or is that like
I'm
In
going
the
to look it
past,
up,
a draft
actually.
status of 1A meant a registrant was available for unrestricted military service.
okay?
They were considered physically and mentally fit to serve in the armed forces.
Gotcha.
Keyword armed.
Yep. Yep. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. This is bad. I mean, it's bad because even if, let's say there was some sort of like joke in the middle of this, you're like shouting this to like, at a rally of people who probably don't like the man. And then it, being like, yeah, let's draft dodge and harm elected officials. And everybody's like, yeah, it doesn't sound great. It doesn't sound great on paper.
Yeah. Optics are not great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I would also say too, like, I really want to give RW the benefit of the doubt because again, we've all made jokes before. Hopefully not everybody's joking about this, but we've all joked. But I feel like this it's like in a nation where we do have free speech, like maybe this really is the one thing like you cannot say. Um
Yeah.
Especially because of the history of presidential assassinations. And also, again, we don't know when this took place. So maybe this is like right after Kennedy got assassinated or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe it's top of mind. Maybe like everybody in DC is like super high alert. Like we're not messing with that right now. It could
that's
be
a
like
good point.
Yeah.
national security issue. And I feel like, well, I don't want to side with Jarrett, but I feel like if we don't crack down on what RW said, even if it's not actually a credible threat, there's no intent behind it, it could just lead the way for there to be a credible threat that just goes under the radar. Eh, Even though maybe in hindsight it was in plain sight. Like, oh, bro was at the club bragging about wanting to murder an elected official. No one took him seriously. And then he did it. It's like, oh. So I don't know. Mm.
Yep.
Awkward.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead, Preston.
Oh no. Thank you. Thank you very much. I do have one more question, just because I'm looking at the timeline of things and it seems strange, right? So it says he has to report on Monday for the draft, but then was reported. Wondering if he actually signed up for the draft, served in the military, and then was
Mm.
reported sometime down the line. Because I feel like that affects things, right? Like it doesn't really seem like if somebody told on him that day that he was immediately arrested, tried in the next couple hours, you know?
True. There was definitely paperwork that had to go through for this to happen. And like maybe he served for a few years and he had a rifle that time and there was no action on this. He probably even forgot that he said it.
Right?
Was it day of? That's true.
Mm. Yeah, do we Nikki or Jared, do we know like the time in between he was reported and arrested or
I feel like if it did happen, I feel like it would have happened within a day. Like,
right?
arrested and all that stuff would have happened pretty much immediately. But that is an assumption
I
that
mean,
I
there's
made.
plenty of cops
It's an
there.
assumption that I made. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because if it wasn't, if he was like,
Yeah.
yeah, they picked him out of, infantry training like 3 months later, and he was like, what are you talking about? I thought you guys were going to cart me off to war and forgot about this statement. It seems
Right.
disingenuous.
So Nikki and I are furiously Googling in order to try and attempt to answer your question.
I was wondering why you were so quiet.
It's a good question that neither of us have the answer to. And I do not know the order of operations. Was it like said a thing, picked up, went to trial, got convicted, sitting in jail, or was it like, well after, did he report on Monday and then, later on down the line he actually got arrested?
We don't really. The record is thin, and I think
Very thin.
There's a specific reason for that, but yeah, we don't know.
I think if he was dishonorably discharged, there would have been a record of that, right? And so he must never have enlisted.
Oh yeah,
even though he
probably.
was drafted. So like he would have been discharged. Yeah. So if there's no record, it's probable that he probably never actually signed up or showed up to his draft.
Maybe he did evade the draft. Maybe he did.
Well, technically, if he was summoned to jury or summoned to trial, then that overrides his draft laws.
Well, I'm thinking like maybe he didn't go on Monday, and on Tuesday the cops just come to his house and they're like, "Hey, you said a really bad thing this weekend. Come with us."
But I feel like that's so integral to the story, right? Like if he does dodge the draft, the dude doesn't have an access to the rifle and nobody's making him carry the rifle. So then the rest of the statement is kind of just like, okay.
He's not so really he should be charged for something else.
Exactly.
Either way, like he's not coming out of this unscathed.
No, you're going to prison, big man. But like for what though?
Right.
Porque no los dos.
But that's like that's like double jeopardy. I'm pretty sure that's not.
Hey, our court, our rules. Okay, I don't know. I feel like without the critical info, like I think it probably is safe to assume in the context of this case that he was arrested pretty soon thereafter saying something like that. Like, especially if he was in DC, like, and basically a cop heard him, he's going to tell all of his other cop friends, and they're going to jump on that pretty immediately because they're like, hey, maybe we shouldn't let the guy that directly threatened the president like out of our sights for too long while there's a giant assembly going on in DC. Maybe we should keep an eye on him. So I do feel like it probably was pretty quick that he was apprehended or thrown in jail.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Yep. So I have found a thing.
Oh, right.
An excerpt from a book titled Hunting the President by Mel Aiton.
Ooh,
states, the following day after he made this statement, Watts was arrested by Secret Service.
Okay, there it is.
Dang. Secret Service.
They wasted no time.
Yeah.
Secret Service. Big deal.
Wow.
This is the only source that I have on this, but
yeah, I've not found.
So do with that information what you will.
Right.
Okay. Noted. Yeah, that kind of honestly it kind of wraps it up for me.
Yep. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't think RW is really off the hook with this. I think if he was, it would set a precedent for bad people to say bad things and act on bad things, thinking that they wouldn't have any repercussions. Any other deliberations we need to have?
No, I think we're kind of all on the same page here.
I feel like we are in alignment as a court.
Yeah.
Wild.
We've reached harmony. That's crazy. Has this happened? Have we done
this? We've had unanimous decisions.
Yeah, there's been instances, yeah.
I've slept since then. I don't know.
Once or twice. It's last week. I don't know.
So who would like to issue the majority opinion, and then does anybody have any qualifications they want to tack on to that?
Associate justices? Anybody want to take a stab at the officials on the record? Yeah, that's true. All right.
I think.
No, Chris, go ahead. No, please, Chris, go.
All right, I will go. I think our decision is that he is guilty of a crime in violation of the code. based on his direct statements, in addition to the fact that he was arrested before he was sent to the draft. So I think just by his words and the very objective, direct way that he said them, it does constitute a real threat.
There you have it.
Then did the trial judge make an error when the judge said declined the motion to acquit?
No.
Okay. Cool. Any
It's
of
on
the
the
other
books.
justices have any caveats they want to tack on? Because you're allowed to do that. If you're like, I agree with that person, but except for this piece or whatever, or let me expand on that.
No, I think I mostly agree with Chris in the fact that the letter of the law makes pretty clear what is a threat to the president and how you cannot do that. It seems definitely like he did that, but I do think, I don't know, it's important to note what the context actually was in which he said this in a group of his peers, feeling the pressure of the ongoing draft, feeling the pressure of potentially having to hold a weapon against people your age, people with your background. I don't think it can be understated how stressful and anxiety inducing that is. And I think it is normal and reasonable under the First Amendment to have grievances against that process and to want to voice those grievances and to be pissed about being drafted into war. Totally fair. But yeah, no, wrong place, wrong time for RW in this case. And if we let more threats like that through the cracks without punishment, maybe it could lead to more violence. That's not great. We do not want to be assassinating people in this country. Drops mic. That's my caveat.
Excellent. Cool. So there you have it. A 3-0 unanimous decision in favor of the United States, that the trial judge did not make an error, that denying the motion was the correct course of action. And therefore, the conviction should stand.
You can insert eagle screeching. I don't know what the...
Season 3, we'll get a soundboard. We'll get a sponsor and a soundboard.
America.
I feel like if it ended with that eagle screech each and every time, that'd be fantastic.
But
we do need a soundboard.
It's a red-tailed hawk. It's not an eagle.
Literally, yes. No. We should have the eagle, the real one.
We could just, Chris. We could just use you.
True. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
We got cats.
Yeah, we could just we just end each episode with a meow instead.
All right. Now that our justices have decided, it is time to let them know what the actual justices decided. So,
I'm so scared.
Nikki, if you would be so kind as to let us know the actual results of the case.
Yeah. So this case was decided in April. It was April 21st, 1969. So of note, 6 years, not quite 6 years after JFK's assassination. And this was a per curiam decision, which means this was a decision that was made by the court as a whole and without a hearing. So basically, the request made it to SCOTUS, and then deciding whether they were going to have a whole hearing about it, they went to quote Chief Justice Sarah, "What if we just didn't?" So they didn't have a trial. They just decided it just together, like, "Hey, this is what we're doing." Which I didn't. What
is that? That feels not allowed.
Who's going to stop them?
Yeah, who's going to stop them?
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
so we had more oral arguments than they did.
Yeah, they didn't have oral and the oral arguments is where some of this like the justices do ask some of these practical questions about, what happened here and dates and whatever.
Right.
But yeah, so there was none of that. They didn't have a hearing about it. They just decided it.
Okay. Suspicious.
And they decided that the trial judge made an error in denying the motion to acquit.
Wow.
Yeah.
We were wrong.
Yeah.
Wow. Did not expect that.
Are we the bad guys?
I think in this
Maybe we
timeline,
are.
possibly.
Oh my
Oh, wow.
god, we're evil. Okay.
Wow. All right.
The horror.
So what was the error?
Yeah, I need the sauce.
So
Spill it.
they said that the statute is, quote, constitutional on its face, end quote, and the nation has a valid interest in protecting the president. However, they also said that this statute criminalizes a form of pure speech and should be interpreted with the First Amendment in mind. And according to them, the First Amendment essentially means that we have a, quote, profound national commitment to the principle that debate on public issues should be uninhibited, robust, and wide open, end quote.
Wow. Guys, we fumbled. We fumbled hard.
You fumbled real bad.
This was the answer I wanted to go with. I wanted to be a free speech absolutist. I wanted to go down this path, and it's just something. Oh, I don't know. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, no, well, it was kind of, it seemed, the statement just seemed very, direct, but the fact that, the making the error, right, that like the actual specific of, the deniement of the appeal, right? So maybe that's the angle. So
True.
Yeah.
So yeah, they were like, debate will sometimes be caustic, they said, and will criticize government and public officials. So they're like, people say things sometimes, I think was basically what I got from it.
Yeah.
And they talk about how you have to differentiate a threat from constitutionally protected speech and think about the whole background of this being in public debate. And Casey Brown, in an article from 2011, sort of distilled and listed the factors considered by the court. And they said there were like 5 factors. So first was context in which the statement was made. And in this case, it was a discussion group at a political rally. Secondly, whether the statement was made in public or private. This was a public gathering, bunch of people there. You also have to consider the speaker's intent. So they were like, was he really going to kill the guy? Really? Really? They also identified whether the alleged threat was conditional in nature. And the court was like, yeah, he based this action on him being pulled into the draft and he said was never going to happen. And they also paid attention to the crowd's reaction to the statement. So the people there laughed. So according to the court, it wasn't a true threat. His statement was, quote, political hyperbole, end quote, and a crude way of expressing political opposition to the president. And they said, quote, we do not see how it could be interpreted otherwise, end quote.
Oh, they cooked us for sure.
Yeah.
Very cooked. I mean, if you just rewind, I'm pretty sure I listed out my subjective argument, which kind of does align with some of that, actually. So we just rewind.
You can't save yourself now, Chris.
So from this, what I'm getting is I can make, assassination, I guess, threats against the president in open forum, so long as I have like a laugh track with me.
So they said it wasn't a true threat. That's the term they kept using. So you have to determine whether a statement is a statement or whether it's a true threat. And they introduced, it's now called the Watts factors in terms of thinking about, and there's been quite a bit of discussion about this actually, which I have read about. So
the if-then statement did always kind of not sit right with me.
Mm-hmm.
It is very subject, like it's very like, it's not like he said, I am going to do this. It was conditional.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess if we just say things conditionally, they're not actually construed as real threats. Is that what we're gathering?
Lessons learned? That's one of the factors, apparently.
Okay.
Yeah, that's That's
Well,
sort
no.
of, that's how the court came away. And then there were some other, like the other justices also did chime in, even though this is per curiam. I don't know. They did
thought
some
the joke was
stuff.
funny.
They like, they're like, we're not even going to have a trial about, like, let's just go. But then everybody had like opinions, I guess. But the majority one was like, they're like, guys, like, come on. He said a thing one time. I do wonder, because I really do wonder about some of the demographic information. His statement about the Black brothers, I was wondering, like, if this is, 1969 civil rights era, by the way, thinking about protests and activist movements, there's a very rich history of government surveillance and targeting.
Right.
So
true.
But I don't have anything like, once again, the record is thin. There's no,
We don't know.
there's no
Mhm.
additional information. Although Justice Douglas had a very interesting concurrence. What he does is this whole historical deep dive. And he talks about how the law in question has these roots in old-timey laws that forbid a person from imagining the death of the king. And then he moves on to tell a bunch of stories about this. Stories are, historical research. I don't know. But he talks about in the 15th century, a man was hanged, drawn, and quartered for basically telling a dad joke. I mean, at least in my 2025 sensibilities, reading it, it was a dad joke. Because specifically, the guy was an innkeeper. The inn he was keeping was called the Crown, his inn, and he told his son, quote, "If thou behavest thyself well, I will make thee heir to the crown." Right?
Oh, people have no levity anymore.
So,
And this guy was publicly murdered. Like, I don't.
he was
drawn
hanged
and quartered, Chris.
Also hanged.
Nuts.
Also hanged.
Hanged.
Which,
The
I mean,
whole end of Braveheart.
I
Yeah, right.
personally, I hate puns, so I'm like, arguably,
Yeah, checks out.
That's a dad joke.
Yeah.
You get what you deserve.
That's what I'm saying. It's weird, right? It's weird. Like, this is the one kind of thing where, like, oh yeah, like, you're always taught about the Constitution and U.S. history and like how freedom of speech came about, and then it's like, yeah, but you can't say this or else the FBI is going to come in and take you away. And I'm like, wait, what? Sure.
It's like you could make jokes about like wanting to murder like your family member or like
that's not against the law.
Or like somebody your
Unless
high school bully. Yeah.
Unless it's assault. But
right.
No.
Unless your family member is the president, then
right.
It could be
right. Then it's even worse. Yeah.
Very problematic.
Right.
Well, so there's been some conversation. Oh yeah, he also gave other historical, like people said funny things, I guess, back in the day. But like in 6062, this guy got indicted because he said he wished all the gentry would kill each other so that the common folk would live better. And once again, 2025, I'm like, all right, vibes. Yeah. So in any case, but you guys bring up some really interesting kind of points that have been brought up by modern day scholars. So there was one where, let me see if I can find it.
Are we modern day scholars?
One person, oh yeah, it was Griffin in her article from 2022 described the subsequent approach. So the court made the decision in Watts and then other courts had to follow it. And she said what happened afterward was haphazard, direct quote, difficult to generalize. And she said that lower court opinions are thus, quote, collectively a mess.
Oh.
She's like, it's a whole mess up in here because they were trying to, be really clear about true threats and whatever. And now everything is confused.
Now no one knows anything.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, but it's thinking about things like, the one thing that comes up is the intent of the speaker and the reaction of the listener, especially the recipient. And that I see this in like modern day laws too, when it comes to threats and fears and danger. Like if it's something that evokes fear in the target. So for instance, like stalking laws, if it's a pattern of behavior that evokes fear in a target or is intended to evoke fear, then it's a threat. Versus in this instance, I guess everybody laughed and thought it was a good ass time, except for the army investigator, and the police and the jury and the lower courts.
People taking their job too seriously, clearly.
Yep.
So
Also,
yeah.
I guess it doesn't, but like having the Secret Service listening to your conversations at peaceful assembly doesn't infringe upon your rights of freedom of speech.
It's very suspicious.
Nothing stops them from, it's a public gathering in a public place, so anybody can just come and listen. Right?
It doesn't get much more public than the National Mall.
Right? Yeah. Which is patrolled by like all the cops, by the way.
Yeah. I'm just so saddened by myself that I didn't stick to my First Amendment right, ideas. But I feel like we should have.
Yeah. Pour one out.
For the dead
I think
homie.
Yeah.
You definitely were like, well, according to the letter of the law, and I think maybe you forgot that you get to interpret it. Like that.
We don't know what we're doing.
The Supreme Court's role is to interpret the law, and I think that ultimately is the difference. Is like you basically came at it from the trial judge's perspective, where you were like, I don't necessarily like this, but as written, I have to do the thing. Whereas the Supreme Court came at it as like, well, we get to decide if the thing is allowed, and we're saying no, this is ridiculous on its face. Yes, the law is fine, but your interpretation of this young man's statement is ridiculous.
Okay,
so
well, Jared, that's what you get for asking for 3 non-lawyers and non-judges to do this exercise. We don't know what we're doing. Chris can't read.
Exactly.
I can't read. Like, you basically asked AI for something and you gave you absolute garbage. So
I think too, there's a certain amount of like, maybe you tried to game the system a little bit, because ordinarily you're like, no, this isn't right. There's no way. And then we're like, well, the Supreme Court thinks you're an idiot and you have no rights. and I think maybe there's a certain amount of PTSD where you're all just sort of like, like blindly reaching into a box of mousetraps.
No, PTSD. The Supreme Court was cool with sterilization.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were like, yeah, no, that's fine. That's cool. They were like, you want to
whoa, hold on, time out.
If you want to do that, just do it. Like, it's okay.
Time out. What's with the past tense?
Yeah, but of course we have PTSD.
Crazy.
Like, in the past, we have learned that the Supreme Court has been super chill with letting the most egregious crimes against humans just happen. And they're like, yeah, sure, that's fine. Like, we will allow that. That's super constitutional. And now it's like, you make a silly joke about shooting the prez and you happen to get hurt by the wrong person. And it's like, you want us to just think that the court's going to do the right thing and be like, yeah, no, your free speech is really important to us. No.
It's so interesting to watch the two pendulums swing, because I'm remembering you guys in Shank, where you're all like, no, this is cool. And then the court was like, fuck this guy in particular.
for whatever reason. I don't.
You all have learned. You have all been beaten down by the Supreme Court to the point where you're like, I don't know. I don't know. Throw him in jail.
Yeah, let him rot.
What even is a right?
Yep.
Put them all away. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm so glad we've gotten here. It only took a season and a half.
I'm going to swing so far the other way the next time we do this.
So imagine this current day and age, because, Griffin in her article was talking about how this gets applied in consideration of rap songs.
Oh, well, that's tea.
I don't know. I feel like rap is different in that, like, most rap, there's like at least 15 different crimes that are being committed in, like, most of the songs. So it's just like, all right, which one of these is an actual statement that, like, And I also feel like that like circles back with like if you're an artist, then it's just like whatever, man.
Yeah. Yeah, like art is free speech. Like if you draw a painting of a government official being assassinated, you're not going to like get taken away for that. It's your expression.
Was it the first Trump administration when what was her name? She had a photo taken with
Kathy
holding
Griffin.
holding the head,
Well, but she didn't get
aesthetic head of the
arrested.
president. Well, no, she didn't. But I mean, I guess that's my point. Is
Whoa.
sort of like protected political speech and also an artist making
Mhm.
a statement.
Crudely.
Crudely, yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm not condoning the act, but what I'm saying is when you think about that and there was no arrest, and then you think about this, which was just like
So
a
true.
guy hanging out with some folks that he was presumably familiar with,
Yeah,
and just
I was
cracked a
like
statement,
18
and
Yeah, he's building rapport.
18-year-old guy. How many young women were there? That was just my question. How
Oh,
many young women were
for
present
sure.
while this guy was saying stuff and being a tough guy?
yeah. So, but like
Yep.
this case makes the art piece, if you want to call it art. Again, I'm not casting any sort of judgment. It's a thing that happened, and she wasn't arrested. And I think you can draw a through line from this case to that fact.
Mhm.
If this case had gone the other way, I think she would have been arrested, right?
Mhm.
Mm.
That's true.
Well,
Yeah, it's thorny. The court came out with these factors, but I guess it's still really difficult. And then every day, every sort of era has its, kind of thinking about this because yeah, this has come up with rap music and then also with like blog posts as well. Um, about people posting things on the internet, making statements. There's some interesting analysis of some cases there. Um, Context is now things like right now the collective consciousness they call it around posting threats to schools where we have active shooters and there was a lot of discussion about posting pictures of judges and contact information and
because
I
that
think
could be threatening.
I think years ago Sarah Palin put out an image uh with like sniper scope targets over the faces of some political opponents,
Nice.
faces or names, or I can't remember specifically, but like again,
Cue eagle sound.
seems pretty inflammatory. And
Mhm.
when the opposite side of the aisle was like, are you threatening the lives of these people? The response from the other side was like, can't you take a joke? Like it's
Yeah.
actually probably wasn't that. It was probably like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like,
Mhm.
you're interpreting it as they're saying go shoot these people, but like we're just saying that they're political targets. Like we're trying to get them unelected or we're trying to unseat them or whatever. It's like, wow,
Mhm.
context
Yep.
matters.
Yeah.
And it's also kind of what you believe. In this particular one, was this Nikki, correct me if I'm wrong, 66 was?
69.
Well, 69 was decided, but when did he say? The rally
Um,
was like April in 66 or something, I
I don't
think.
think well, I can double check. I can do some. Oh, it was 1966 that he was
Yes. Okay.
at the protest.
This is about 2.5 years after JFK's assassination. This is also the beginning of all of the protests about Vietnam. So I can understand an administration, a secret service organization that is very touchy, right?
Mhm.
Very aggressive given their recent history and the nation's recent history and the burgeoning uh, militarism that we're starting to see around the country in response to Vietnam and uh, the civil rights protests were mostly peaceful, but not 100%, right?
Mhm.
And so I get it. I get the Secret Service's response.
Yep.
My takeaway on this one is it feels so nice to notch a win for freedom of speech and free expression, when yes, it definitely feels like most of the cases we have looked at so far have been I know what I feel, and I'm pretty sure the Supreme Court disagrees, because the Supreme Court never seems to do the right thing by my standards. And so I'm appreciative that the Supreme Court's reaction to this one was like, I don't know, guys, really? Let's
Mhm.
Yeah.
They were like,
What's
be
up?
serious.
Come on.
Yep.
I do wish there was oral arguments on this one for two reasons. Number one, would have made my life a lot easier writing arguments
Mhm.
if
Mhm.
I could have cribbed some notes.
Same.
Right.
So that I'm very sad about that.
That's Justices Fortas and Harlan. That was their stance. They were like,
Yeah.
the court should have had a hearing to decide this, even if their decision was right. In
Not
the end.
having a hearing is crazy. What do we do?
Yeah.
Isn't
Yeah.
that's your job? Hello?
Yeah. Because the
Mhm.
second point is
Yeah.
like the decision that gets handed down and the rulings that they write, the opinions, I guess there, are incredibly important pieces of jurisprudence. But the arguments that get you there, I think, are a vital part of the record as well,
Mhm.
because they contextualize why we're even here.
Mhm.
And so a lot of the questions we've been asking each other about, like, why this? Why, was it really a joke? How was it said? Who was he around? Like being able to let the two sides have their day in court and make the argument to say, like, look, judge, I believe that this should have been acquitted. The judge failed to approve the motion. That was an error. Why do you think it was an error? Here are my reasons.
Mhm.
The United States Solicitor General is going to get the opportunity to state their reasons on the record.
Mhm.
And then when we look at it, we can see the decision and its contextualization.
Yeah.
In this case, it feels less bad because even the two folks who commented on it were like, the court got it right, but we still think they should have had an opinion. They should have had a hearing on it.
There are a
But
couple other dissents. One person was like, I would deny the petition for, I wouldn't have bothered hearing this case. And then somebody else was just like, dissents. And then that was
right. My concern is, like, I just conceptually, I don't like the idea of the court ever just saying, we're just going to make our decision based off what we've got. We're good. We're good. Don't come in. It's fine. Work from home. I mean, I guess there's some
Vibes.
things they could do for that.
Yeah.
If there's some obvious things, and maybe this was an obvious one, but two justices dissented, or at least two. Was it 6-3 or was it 7-2?
It was, well, it's listed as per curiam. Like, this is see, I'm not a lawyer. I don't get any of this. It's listed as per curiam. They're like, by the court as a whole. But by the way, everybody thought something different about it, and here's what they thought for the most part.
So they
I don't know.
lied.
Well, I don't know. They used Latin, so therefore it's fine.
They also
Right.
don't know what they're doing. They're just like
Accurate.
us. Plot
Yeah.
twist.
That's wild.
Wow.
Wild to think about.
Well, guys, we fumbled pretty bad.
We did.
I'm
We
a little
did.
We
embarrassed.
went through all the motions that we did. We did go through the, hey, just thinking ahead here.
Yeah. We talked ourselves into the
We tried.
wrong thing.
We did.
And yeah, is PTSD to blame? I think there is a little bit of that.
We just got deprogrammed by this.
We got deprogrammed.
We'll be better next time.
We will. We have learned from this, and we will be better next time.
Yeah.
Never siding with the government ever again.
That's the American thing to do.
This was, I will say, because Sarah, you've been on at this point 12 episodes.
Oh God.
There is a more than enough data to suggest a pattern. If we had Nina Totenberg here, she could talk probably about your record and be like, well, based off the facts of this case, we all believe we know what direction Justice Sarah is going to rule on this one, and you would have blown their minds with this
What did
decision.
I say? Never let them know your next move.
It's true.
Don't even let them know what you're currently doing.
Any parting thoughts from anybody before we wrap this one up?
Nothing besides screeching eagle sounds.
You really
Yep.
need that.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
There you go, Chris.
Just the mewing of a kitten in a dark alley.
Never got a hearing.
That's what I've been relegated to.
Yep.
All right.
Or relitigated to. And with that,
We gotta go.
Okay. Well, we're gonna.
By the way, we
gonna-
only said jurisprudence once, and it was used in
Yeah.
its appropriate context during
That's
this episode.
wild.
So good job, Jarrett. That is
Because there
a
was no
first.
Justice Adam. No
Yeah.
Justice
Yes,
Adam
because
to,
because Adam was not here today.
Yeah.
All right. We'll end it there because we're getting silly. Thank you so much for
Oh,
listening.
God
Thank you so much
forbid.
thank you so much to our justices. Thank you to Nikki for all the research you did and the scripting you've done for this episode. I'm Jarrett. I'm not a lawyer. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. I'll learn how to read for next time.
Lies.
Doubtful.
Lies.
Well, there you have it. The Sarah court unanimously decided that RW's words were a real threat and his conviction stands. That's it for this episode, but before we go, thanks again to my co-host and to our justices. The music in this episode was written by Studio Columna and Toby Smith and provided by Pixabay. Research was done by Nikki. Audio mixing and producing was done by me. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe, rate, and comment so other people can find us. For complete episode information, including references, please check out our website at relitigated.com. You can also catch us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Threads, and Blue Sky. Please help us spread the word. All right, until next time, I'm Jarrett, and this has been Relitigated. Take care.